Mr. President, men and women of the Senate, I rise today not as the openly gay senator in this chamber, but as a senator who happens to be gay. I try really hard to separate my personal life from my professional. Not always successful, but I try to go above and beyond to make this about the important issues at stake. But it's root issues like the one in this bill, the one this bill is trying to resolve, that forced me to talk about this through the lens of my own personal experiences, not talking points or conjecture. I don't have the luxury of talking about this bill in an abstract. It's real for me because keeping conversion therapy in any form legally on the books is personally offensive to every fabric of my being. You all know me by now. We might be on opposite sides of an issue or an aisle, have fundamental disagreements about public policy, but at the end of the day, I really do consider all of you my colleagues, my equal. And last time I checked, I'm an equal member of this body. Last time I checked, I bleed the same color blood as you. We are more alike than we are different. This bill isn't about rainbow flags or parades down the street or even what bathroom to use. This is about basic human decency and the ability to recognize another human being's worth in this world. Why would you continue to permit a barbaric practice of trying to unsuccessfully convert people like me? I ask you this: what is wrong with me? Conversion therapy is anything but. It assumes from the get-go that something is wrong with the individual, that something needs fixing. It assumes you want and need fixing and that you can, quote-unquote, be fixed. Let me ask you something else, and I really want you to think long and hard about the answers to these questions. Would you personally be able to change who you are with a flip of a switch? Would you be able to stop loving your spouse, wife, or husband with a flip of a switch? Would you even want to? If you answered no to those questions, why should you expect a young person to have a different response? Quote-unquote therapy practices can include methods such as talk therapy, which is included in this report, aversion, harassment, physical abuse, electroshock therapy, treating LGBTQ identity as an addiction issue like drugs or alcohol, and more. While certain therapies like talk therapy, like we're addressing here today, are also legitimate forms of care for people who experience mental health problems, being gay is not a mental health disorder. One survivor of conversion therapy was quoted saying, "We were no longer people at the end of the program." No longer people. Conversion therapy isn't based on any sound science or reality. Today, there are no mainstream psychiatric organizations that accept conversion therapies as a reputable practice. And the people who offer these kinds of treatments are not often licensed and do not follow under regulations. But I want to take a step back for a moment. I need you to understand the human cost. I need you to understand my story in order for you to understand the seriousness of the vote we are taking here today. You need to hear the human side of this outdated means of dealing with internalized homophobia. I am lucky in life to have found my soulmate. I married my partner Edward back in 2016. Just a few years before, though, I would have never imagined I would have had the ability to legally marry. This was a right denied to me and others like me. For most in this room, you've never had to question that right. It was a given. It's an incredible feeling when you gain a constitutional right that your friends and family have had their entire lives and never had to think twice about. It's the feeling of being acknowledged, of being equal, based on something that makes us inherently human: love. Like other things in life, society had made me feel like a second-class citizen. Wasn't able to marry, couldn't give blood the rest of my life, benefits not afforded to me. Let's not forget the constant harassment, bullying, and complete disrespect I've had to endure throughout most of my life. Conversion therapy being legal and on the books continues this feeling of being less than, not worthy, inadequate, different, weird. I had a difficult time growing up. I always felt different from my peer group even before acknowledging what that different was. I just felt I couldn't connect with those my age. It wasn't until middle school heading into high school when I started to feel confused about who I was. Everyone else my age was dating, or at least fixating on trying to date, going to dances, the typical high school experience. But fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of letting my guard down and discovering who I might be prevented me from having that typical experience. It froze my personality into a suspended state of reclusion. Even the words I chose to utter around my own immediate family had to be selected with care. Otherwise, they might suspect. I felt trapped, suffocated by society. I remember there were days that I would just write the sentence, "I am not gay," over and over again, hoping that some positive affirmations would suddenly make it so. Why couldn't I just be normal? I thought to myself. Why me? Was I being punished for something from another life? It just didn't seem fair. For everyone else, sexuality was just so easy. It just came naturally. They didn't have to question it. It didn't help that on a daily basis, students I didn't even know would constantly ask me if I was gay, not out of curiosity, but to ridicule and out of spite. There is a reason I would spend lunch periods in the student TV studio working instead of socializing, a brief escape from the daily struggle. Keep in mind, I have the best parents in the world, but even they had a journey of coming to terms with who I am and accepting it. At the time, I never felt like I could talk to anyone about this, nor did I have any support. There were some very dark days. Most wouldn't know, because I always present myself in a positive way, always with a smile. But behind that smile, I was hurting really bad. There were times I felt maybe it would just be easier if it would just go away, to end it all. These thoughts were wrong, but at the time there didn't seem to be many solutions. And when you question everything about yourself, when everyone tells you who you are is wrong, it destroys your self-worth, eats away at your spirit to live. I wasn't a religious individual, but I will tell you I prayed a heck of a lot in high school, hoping that some higher power will make it all better, hoping that this was just a phase. And of course, it wasn't just a phase. It has taken me a while to value myself and accept myself for exactly who I am. I am exactly how God intended. I am finally at a place of being happy. My husband keeps me grounded and gives me the solid foundation of strength I need to carry on each day with self-confidence and a drive to be the best version of me possible. While my struggles and story might sound unique, they are sadly not. In fact, there are young people going through much, much worse. Here are some sobering statistics. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among young people, generally speaking, ages 10 to 24. Gay youth seriously contemplate suicide at almost 3 times the rate of heterosexual youth. Gay youth are almost 5 times as likely to have attempted suicide compared to their heterosexual counterparts. Each episode of LGBT victimization, such as physical or verbal harassment or abuse, increases the likelihood of self-harm behavior by 2.5 times the average. If letting my light shine bright helps just one person out there be true to their core and save them from a life of pain, then mission accomplished. While I don't attend church on a regular basis now, my mom used to take me, and I went to Bible study classes. Nowhere did I find the teachings of Jesus Christ to be about hating anyone or even passing extreme judgment onto anyone. What I learned was quite profound. I learned about the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think we should practice that today with this vote. Please don't dehumanize people like me and treat us like something you can change to fit a narrative. I respect you and your ability to love the spouse of your choosing, and I expect the same in return. Oppose this report to support the bill at hand, to not only protect Maine kids from direct psychological abuse, but also to send a message to all kids in Maine struggling with their identity, with who they are, that they aren't weird or inferior. that they are exactly who they are put on this earth to be, themselves. Mr. President, men and women of the Senate, join me in choosing love over hate.